Greetings, one and all. Welcome to my review of the movie Goon. You guys should probably know the format by now, so let's get straight into it, shall we? Goon was written by Jay Baruchel and Evan Goldberg, was directed by Michael Dowse, and was released on February the 24th, 2012, whilst having been shown at the Toronto Film Festival in the September prior. Goon features such actors as Sean William Scott, Alison Pill, Liev Schreiber, and the writer Jay Baruchel, and tells the story of Doug Glatt, an incredibly nice but dim-witted man who becomes the enforcer for a minor league hockey team, after pummeling a player on the away side of a game he went to see who made a homophobic slur. One of Doug's brothers is gay in the film. They mention that a lot in the film and try to use it for jokes a lot, which really doesn't work, but we'll get into that later. So Doug then goes on to bring success to his team by beating the crap out of the rival team's tough guys. This leads to title hopes coming on the line against the St. John's Shamrocks, led by Ross the Boss Rhea, who was demoted to the minors after serving a 20-game suspension for slashing an opposing opponent in the head from behind. Rhea is looking to retire at the end of the season, so as you can expect, the aging veteran goes for one last brawl against the new blood in Doug Glatt, with everything on the line. The film also features several cliches, such as Doug's newfound love for a woman called Eva, a best friend who has his back and motivates him to do what he loves, and a teammate who doesn't like him at first, but after Doug steps up for him, he begins to like Doug. However, forget about the cliches if you want to enjoy this film the most you possibly can, as we get into the positives and the negatives. We of course shall start with the positives, glass half full. The on-ice scenes are very well done and are fun to watch. Whether it's the hits, the dangles, or the last-second saves in the game, the actual hockey scenes are directed really well and very interesting to watch. Also, the fights are so brutal but so entertaining to watch. They really don't hold back on the brutality, which is what you want from a hockey movie called Goon, let's be honest. Sure, it's sometimes over-heightened in terms of the amount of blood that's spilled or whatever, but it's a fictional movie about hockey enforcers, so of course they're gonna do that for entertainment value. And I allow them to do that, as the fights are bloody brilliant. And Sean William Scott plays the dim yet talented Doug Glatt very well in my opinion, and Liev Schreiber does a great job as always, this time playing Doug's counterpart Ross Rhea. The scene with them talking about the game between them is the best scene in the entire movie, when he's talking about it, they only want you to bleed, and they only want you to fight and not be a hockey player. It really, and I think the acting talents really do make that scene shine. It is a very good scene, definitely the best one, the most memorable scene without a doubt. Now we move on to the negatives. Yeah, there weren't many positives that I found in this film. Let's go on to the negatives, shall we? It was an alright film, but let's look at the negatives. Doug's best friend is a walking swear machine. He is not funny at all, and his attempt to bring extra comic relief is failed, and should never have been in the film in the first place. It was absolutely atrocious, whether he's talking about blowjobs, 69, sex, or he's talking about fucking and everything like that. He's just not funny, he's not interesting, he's a completely pointless character, and I think that might be, don't quote me on this, but that might be the writer Jay Baruchel who plays that character. Absolutely awful character, don't write him in for any more films. I know there is a film that has been released recently, the sequel of this. I think he is in that film, which is a shame. Haven't watched it yet, but I'll have to see. Also, the amount of sex jokes in the film is ridiculous, and they're not even funny. Whether it's Doug taking the number 69 for his jersey, or two Eastern European players talking about having sex with the goalie's mum, none of it is even slightly amusing. It feels like most of the time it's got the humour of a 12-year-old. You know the sort, the ones who send you messages on Xbox Live after you beat them in a game of Call of Duty or FIFA, and they threaten to sleep with your mum and say all this into a microphone that is more static than actual sound. Picture that kid, make a movie with them, and that's the humour of Goon. Also, speaking of jokes, the gay jokes, as I mentioned earlier, also ridiculous, and I could see how gay people would get quite offended by them. I'm not gay myself, no matter what the YouTube comments say, and I'm not trying to be a social justice warrior and get offended on behalf of gay people here, but the unnecessary reference to the fact that Doug's brother is gay more than is necessary. They mention it right at the start of the film, and every time he's in a scene, they mention it. They don't need to, but they do it. And the fact that his homosexuality seems to be the only character trait he has, besides being Doug's brother, is rather distasteful in my opinion. It may just be me, and I may need to lighten up about it, but if you're gonna make gay jokes, at least make them funny, you know? Also, the love story between Doug and Eva is sweet and all, it's really nice, and I get that there needs to be more of a reason for the audience to sympathise with Glatt and be on his side, considering he spends the majority of the movie beating the living daylights out of people, but it takes up a little too much runtime of the movie for my liking. Also, Eva kind of cheats on her boyfriend, which is not cool, regardless of how awesome Doug is. Bad move there, Eva. Don't cheat on your boyfriend. He seemed like a nice guy. Even Doug says he seemed like a nice guy. And finally, the acting isn't really that Oscar-winning from the majority of the cast, other than the previous actors mentioned in Sean William Scott and Liev Schreiber. But the overall acting is passable, I guess. It gets the job done, but it's nothing too memorable. I don't think the subpar script does the actors any favours, but the performances are still forgettable at best. Now we have the verdict. Drum roll, please. Ooh, I give Goon a 5 out of 10. It's got some funny moments, but they are few and far between. I think the problem is the movie thinks it's funnier than it actually is, and there seems to be a lot of really, really poor humour from the writers. I think the writer finds it a lot funnier than other people do, in my opinion. Also, the overall acting is subpar, excluding a few performances, and the script is just awful. However, the best bits about this movie are the fights and the on-ice action, which are done really well. I will give them that. So there you go, that was my review of Goon. What did you think about the movie? Was it good, bad, or haven't you watched it yet? Let me know in the comments below, I would love to hear what you think. But thank you very much for watching, guys, I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.